always a beginning of the video of me doing this and being like, it's still loading. It's lying to me. We are actually live. Okay, good. Just confirmed the sound works. Okay, friends, let's do this. Welcome back to Attack the Pantry. I am Jenn de la Vega. This stream is a deep dive into ingredients, cooking techniques, and recipes to help you cook for yourself during quarantine and, the rest of your adult life. Last time on the stream, we talked to Russ Marshallek about wine. It was very, very informative, and maybe I had a couple glasses for myself. You can watch all of the past clips here on my channel. If you click on videos, the entire archive is located at youtube.com/JENNDLV. I'm going to copy that for you and put it in the chat. Make sure to subscribe there. Great news. I'm sure that you know this already, but if you happen to be one of those new people that is tuning in right now, I am a Twitch affiliate. That means every little bit or cheer or subscription to this channel helps me pay for the things that I do to keep this running. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can gift a subscription to your favorite creators every month for free. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, click the purple button that says gift a sub and you'll get a little crown next to your name in the chat. Lots of really good links below the video. One way to help us out is to share this stream and tell people you are tuning in so we can grow the community and people can learn and hang out with us, and it's more the merrier, but today I have a guest. It's so wonderful when I have a guest. Hello, guest. Who are you and what do you do?
Hi, everybody. I am Alex Jones, or Alexandra for my official byline, but you can call me Alex. I am a cheese person. Former cheesemonger, former cheese buyer, cheese author, food writer, general food freelancer in Philadelphia.
Oh, so glad to have you here. I am also a cheese person and have been a cheese person in a previous life, more on the affinage side, which we can get into later. But how do we know each other?
So we met in Wisconsin, right? Because I get the two times confused. At Eat Retreat. It was my second and your first, or
my first, yes.
Okay. And my second and last, because I think it's not happening anymore. Yes. But yeah, we were like roommates, bunkmates in like a cabin on a beautiful lake in some part of Wisconsin. I don't know.
Lake Delavan.
Yeah, Lake Delavan. I think
Lake Delavan.
Southern part of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. And we got together with like 40 other food people of all kinds and got to have like foodie summer camp for 3 days. And nothing gold can stay. It couldn't last. It was like too awesome and fun.
I know.
It was super fun while it lasted, I think.
I was skeptical when Heather said, you're going to meet 40 of your new best friends. And oh my gosh, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those relationships, or people met there, people I knew already, also came and we became better friends or whatever. And yeah, it was a really cool way, not to sound all professional or whatever, but to network and stuff, in addition to having fun and making friends and things.
We made some cool stuff. We had a gigantic cheese spread. I brought Tubby from New York.
I remember that.
Yeah, I brought Tubby.
People bring cheese. We got a bunch of Wisconsin cheese. That was the first time I had cheese whips.
Oh, that's right. The cheese whips. Yeah.
Long, kind of coiled up string cheeses.
That's right.
I mean, everything is a Wisconsin cheese thing. People brought cheeses from all over the US and I think even Canada. We had some Canadians. I brought a bunch of Pennsylvania cheese and we laid it out. I must have pictures on my phone from, that was what, 2015? 2016?
2015 maybe. I don't know. But I should have saved those photos. I should have pulled them up for today so that I could show. But I'll tweet them later. They're on Instagram. The battery of tasting it was so fun. So fun.
And other things we did then. So this is just to give people an idea of what Eat Retreat is.
Yeah.
A person who was a recent Top Chef runner-up, Sarah Bradley, led us in a bourbon and country ham tasting. She's a Kentucky chef. I actually just talked to her for a story that I'm doing for the counter this week. We went trout fishing.
We went trout fishing. Yeah.
For a field trip. We
made bitters.
Oh yeah, we made bitters.
We made bitters.
Company lady. We were like putting all these like herbs in these alcohols, and we had like a Wisconsin. The one of the coolest things is I didn't really know anything about like Midwest or Wisconsin food culture.
Right.
Like what are they called? The dinner halls or something.
The supper clubs or supper clubs. Yeah.
Like I had not had any of that food, and that was like our first night as we got to have brandy old fashions and like all of these things. It was
what great. A wonderful time, and I'm just still really glad to be your friend and in your orbit. Let's catch up in the chat here. Oh, welcome everybody. Good to see you, Gio. Robert's here. Everybody's just saying cheese in the chat. You said the magic word. It was only a one-time retreat in Wisconsin, and it wasn't just all cheese. We also did Kentucky hams and bourbons, and just like whatever the attendees had any expertise in, that's kind of the stuff that we brought.
One guy who's from California, brought a suitcase full of like tropical fruit.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've revisited a lot of those friendships over the years. And even with my cookbook, like Rose helped me with a project. Melva helped me with promotion. Even, oh my gosh, Kirk Mustaine out in Portland, Oregon helped me with a wedding.
Cool.
Yeah, he runs the dining halls at the university there in Portland and let me borrow a bunch of equipment for a wedding.
That's awesome.
Because I don't live there, so.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was such a good time. My goodness. But let's move on to the next segment here. For anyone who's just joining us, I love to feature photos of your cooking project. So it can be your breakfast, lunch, dinner, something that you got from takeout, or something interesting you've seen at the store, or even memes, especially egg and cheese memes. We love those here. So I'm going to share my screen here and see what everybody has sent in. Look at us. It's us. You eating an ice cream.
Yes, it's in Montreal on a very hot day. You can see
my goodness. I've never been to Montreal. I would love to go. Love to go. So this first entry here is from my auntie May, who's in California. This was her Easter spread. Looks like prime rib, lots of fruit and grains. They are kind of a gluten-free household, so there's no breads, but lots and lots of fruit. It looks like. What a wow, very rare meat. Oh, I forgot. I'm gonna open the chat on my phone because I can't see it when I'm sorry, 1 second. I can't see it when I'm sharing my screen because that would give everyone a headache. But thank you, Auntie May, for sending that one in. See, my friends and family participate. It's very cute. Dan on Twitter has sent in a herb garden. This is a beautiful start to your herb garden. It looks like basil there, and I'm actually not so sure about the others. Maybe oregano in the top center.
I see some parsley on the bottom.
Pearly parsley, yeah, it looks like.
And it looks like it's snow outside. So like
this is Canada. Yeah, this is up there. This is up there, Canada.
Oh, wow. They'll take off as soon as it gets sunny.
Yeah, seriously. And then part 2, this is from some advice that I gave earlier this year, which was that you can save the bottoms of all your scallions. Like, I'm sure you've seen lots of people doing this during the pandemic. But you can grow your scallions again from just that bottom 2 inches in a jar of water. And then once it's grown up a little bit, you can plant them as normal and they'll just keep making scallions.
You know, I did that, but like, it's such a handy trick.
Yeah. It's very good. Thank you, Dan, for sending that in. Christian Sour Patch says you got a joke for us. If it's a nice joke and not something that will get you banned, please share the joke and I will read it. But if it's something that will get you banned, please refrain. Just got to deal with the internet every once in a while. You know what I mean? Let's see. One of our previous guests, Eric Silver, shared with me a sandwich here locally. It's called the Greenpoint Sandwich. You can get this from Brooklyn Standard. It's turkey ham, or turkey that has been cured like ham. broccoli rabe, fresh arugula, pepper jack cheese. Yeah, okay. Arugula oil and grilled focaccia.
Oh, dang.
I've had it. It's delicious. The arugula oil is super garlicky, like super smooth. It doesn't have that like, pesto-y texture. It's like super sieved or filtered, but it's very garlicky and just permeates the sandwich. Something that I love about sandwiches. And it reminded me, actually, there's a sandwich place in Philly that I liked that had broccoli rabe and pickled cherry, I think, with the meat. It was called Paisanos.
Paisanos,
Is that
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Is it still around?
They do still exist, although depending on which location you went to, one of the locations closed, but one of them is still open.
I think it was near Fishtown.
I think, I didn't hear that they closed during the pandemic, but I think it was actually before that. That place does make amazing. Philly is a great sandwich town, but that place.
Oh, yes. I know. Yes. I love a sandwich from Philly. My goodness. Okay. Christian Sour Patch has a joke for us. What do you call a pig that does karate?
A pork chop?
Yep. Thank you for that.
Is that like a really dumb answer, or is that like the right?
No, that's the answer. We love a joke like that. We love those kinds of jokes. Thank you for your joke. Sorry if I lectured you earlier. I just have to be really vigilant about it because some people can be mean. JV, my friend, sent me this meme, a good gossip session with an Aries, fulfillment of needs, because I am a triple Aries. I'm the most Aries person you will ever meet. I was born at sunrise kind of person. Thank you for sending this in. Yes, I love a good gossip session. It's true. It's true. I love the tea. Also accompanying that, this is JV's Sloppy Joe and Side of Veg. And the text that came along with this was like, man, when you figure out how to cook for yourself. And I was like, yes.
I can't think of the last time I had Sloppy Joes, and now I like really.
Me either. I really don't know. It might have been when I was making my cookbook, because I have a Sloppy Joe that I nicknamed a Sloppy Jenn.
Oh, nice.
In there. You gotta. But this looks delicious. And I like that you can see the onion and the tomato and pepper in there, because I think like in the 90s, like that canned like manwich. You remember that?
It's just like a sauce. Like
just homogenous, like thing. And it's very like grainy. I don't know. This looks delicious and juicy and nice. So thank you for sharing that. Robert, who's in the chat here, shared a bolognese. Oh my gosh, this is a Serious Eats recipe. Mixed greens, roasted pecans, and gorgonzola, lemon vinaigrette. Oh my gosh, I didn't get the other screen. I didn't get your salad screen, but the sauce here looks like a blanket.
That looks extremely legit.
That pasta is like, did you hand make the pasta yourself or did you buy it, Robert? Tell us in the chat. But it's making my mouth water. Have you had a bolognese in a while?
I haven't, but I have a really amazing memory of one. A friend of mine was running a marathon, or half marathon, or a full marathon.
Carbo load, yeah.
The night before, she was like, we had a pasta party, and she just made an amazing bolognese. And I can't remember. I must have made one at some point since, like, so it was a long time ago, but that's the one I like to think about. Okay, we have an update. That is fresh pasta via Fresh Direct. I didn't realize Fresh Direct is stepping up their game with the fresh stuff. Like that's, I'm impressed. Very impressed. Steph the Bard, who is here in the chat also. This is a journey. Wait, that was a spoiler. This is the tamago gohan. It's rice with the furikake, soy sauce, and then the raw egg. And I know that some people are afraid of that, but the residual heat from that hot rice is what cooks that egg through and through. So this is like the setup, and then here's the shot, which is the final dish. It looks great. I want to make that. So good. It looks so simple.
Yeah, Steph, good job. And I was glad to hear that you liked it too. Can we have some eggs in the chat for... So for my channel, we have these beautifully designed cartoon eggs by my friend Rachel Viola. who streams on Tuesday nights, by the way, everyone. Thank you for sharing eggs in the chat. And so we can tell people to share these lovely little eggs in the chat whenever we talk about eggs.
So fun.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. I love hanging out with Mud Chat. They're all very special people. Chris, good to see you. Glad you're here, and very proud of you, by the way, for raising all that money to help people make music. So we have a lot of musician friends in the chat who are very generous and nice, trying to pool money so that people of color or who otherwise could not afford like this new equipment can get a little discount, or at least work toward getting a new thing. Yeah, very proud of you. Like, please keep doing this. It's very cool what you're doing. This one came in from Sue. This is from Art Basel. Ooh. You can believe it. Like the art festival in Florida. It's a piece by David Adamo, Untitled Eggs, number 11, made in 2017. Previously exhibited by Peter Freeman Inc. at Art Basel.
How many dollars would you pay to own this, Jen?
I mean, I also could staple some burlap to a frame and do some plaster eggs. I'm very confident about the way that I can draw eggs. Not as realistic like this. It probably is a little bit of mixed media for this piece. It looks like plaster and paint on top of fabric.
Texture.
Yeah, I if I had lots of dollars to burn, yes, I would. Nothing is too expensive for egg art. Yeah. But currently, as it stands, I am not a patron of the fine arts, because I'm more of a DIY arts kind of person and would rather invest in my own materials to make things. But thank you for sending this in, Sue. We love egg art so much here. So much, especially Alex's shirt. I don't know if everyone's noticed.
It's actually a dress. It's a full dress. It is from Works.
Right.
Works, which is a great clothing company that they partner with artists who design patterns, and then they make a million different garments with this pattern. So a bunch of different styles of dresses. They do romper or jumpsuits, stuff like that. So if you can get it in a bunch of different styles.
You're gonna have to share that link later. And then finally, this one was a video. I'll put the link in the chat. But it basically was this very hot surface. It's captioned "too hot for egg," and this guy just like cracks an egg over this surface, and it's so hot the egg sort of just blows away. It doesn't even land on the surface. Wow. I'll show the link to the video later for everyone, but what? How does that work? I guess there's like a heat wave, or like physical, like it's so hot, the infrared.
Like steam is generated when it approaches or something.
Maybe like a parachute. Yeah, exactly. Like a volcanic air draft. But yeah, the egg flies away. It's very funny. Thank you for sending that one in. I don't remember who sent it in. But that's what people have submitted this week. If you want to be featured here on the stream, please do tag me on Instagram and Twitter at Randwiches, or you can email me. My email is randwiches@gmail.com if you are uncomfortable with social media like that. But we are happy to cheer you on and ooh and ah at all of your photos. So let's check out what I did this week. I was a little bit of a mixed bag. It was my birthday on Monday. Hooray. It was very fun. So this is how I celebrated my birthday. I made I did a semi-homemade Nashville hot chicken for myself. So like the chicken patty was like a frozen thing I got from the store, but then I made the oil. I made like the spicy cayenne and brown sugar oil, and had a spicy sandwich for breakfast. This is like the kind of life I lead. Spicy chicken sando in the morning. And then I went and got a bunch of cookies and pastries from one of my favorite Italian places nearby. I got a Lobster Tail. Have you had one of these before?
Oh, they're so amazing.
Crunch. Yeah, the crunch. Yeah, this was a really funny British Bake Off technical challenge to watch. I love rewatching it just because it was so ridiculous, because it was summertime. It was very hot. And it has to be very cold to be able to make these layers. But lobster tails, delicious. And then I had a spritzy. I had like an Aperol spritzy.
Ooh, is that the pink pineapple?
Yeah, it's an Aperol pineapple.
It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. So I was just eating cookies, having a drink on a patio. Hadn't done that in over a year. It felt really good and nice. And actually ran into some friends. Like that blew my mind too. That never happens. But that's how I spent my birthday. It was a really wonderful day. Other than that, I've just had a mixed bag of things, like thinking about Frito pie, but then slanting it a little Indian. So I did a dal Frito pie with paneer and sweet potato.
That looks
Yes.
amazing.
It was good. I ate the whole thing. I usually have a problem with finishing my food, but this plate I finished. I think it's because there's a lot of crunch. I love a crunch. Nachos are like my thing. This is a look at my little home studio. Hello from the Giant Burger. Just want to say hello to the Giant Burger. I just realized that my computer is not plugged in.
Oh.
I just got the warning signal. Girl, you're doing a video stream. Okay, here we go. We're good now. Hello from that Giant Burger. This is from an installation that I did a couple years ago. We did this photography exhibit where everything was black and white to illustrate texture and see what kind of feelings you still get from food without color. So it was an interesting conversation to have. Love it. What else? More in the Indian vein, I had crispy curry leaves with a cashew curry here and some scrambled eggs this morning. This is this morning. Fast forwarding. I always have my crunchy thing. Yeah, the leaves get really, really crispy. Whenever I can get fresh curry leaf, I will splurge and get it. This is a new recipe up on the Patreon today. This is the mushroom pate made with the mushroom ketchup remains. So if you follow the structure of the recipes on my Patreon, we start with mushroom ketchup, and then we make a mushroom bechamel with the stuff we squeezed out, and then we still make some mushroom pate with the seconds or the minced mushrooms there that we squeezed out for sauce. So it's a really fun chain of recipes there on the Patreon if you want to check it out. What else? In nerdy news, it is 5 years ago today that I hung out at NASA Kennedy. I got to see a rocket launch a couple years ago because I was working in social media and they wanted people to live tweet the launch. So what a cool job I had at the time. I was such a nerd. Oh my gosh. My favorite NASA department is NASA Veggie, of course. Did you know that we have a vegetable space program? It's great. I was doing some research about freeze drying. You can freeze dry cottage cheese and store it without refrigeration, sour cream too. I almost don't believe this, but this is on a product page for a home freeze dryer. I don't know anyone that owns one.
They're like ginormous with like, they're very expensive and very large.
Yeah, they're about $3,000 for the home version. But this blew my mind. Like freeze drying scrambled eggs. So having astronaut scrambled eggs is a thing you can do. And then it rehydrates apparently very close to the real thing.
Huh.
I don't know. But I was reading about the difference between freeze drying and dehydration, where it's just a difference of the percentage of water activity. And freeze drying, like it lasts like years, like up to 15 years, which is crazy. But a funny discovery nonetheless to think about. I'm just going to go freeze dry some cottage cheese. Of all things in the world that you want to freeze dry for later, cottage cheese is the one you chose.
I guess you need protein?
I guess. I don't know. Wouldn't be my go-to. No offense to anyone that really loves cottage cheese. This is the pixel artist I was talking about. This is just a screenshot from last night. Rachel Viola's channel, it's DROMGP on Twitch. She has this really cute thing that when you're in the chat, you become a hot dog on the screen. So I'm Jay Delavegs there, and I have a ketchup. and you can use these chat commands to put egg hat on the top. You can see this little tiny egg hat or whatever topping. So she has all these fun little like little toys you can play with in the chat. So you really all should follow Rachel. And she streams every Tuesday. And it was just fun to just make my hot dog dance and just type at it. It's great. The wonders. Maybe one day my chat will be that cool, but we're just very bare bones here because we just like to talk about food. And then finally, my friend Matthias Brown, who goes by the artist name Trace Loops on Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram. He did one of the Fiona Apple music videos. It's like an animated video. I think it was for Shamika, that track, but he has a new cassette out, which is all very small songs. So like made with Casios and kalimbas, like really twinkly, like pass the time kind of songs. And so I bought the cassette tape and just got it today. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's very, very cute and fun. All right. So that's all the stuff I've been up to. Catching up in the chat here. Oh, yes. Thanks for the reminder, Chris. Cuisine is a fine art when we're talking about Art Basel. You're right. Yes. Yeah, NASA Jenn, that was very, very cool. You can buy freeze-dried ice cream at the New York Hall of Science in Queens. I believe that. Absolutely. Oh, Martin's here. Hi. Maybe NASA Veggie can develop a vegan astronaut ice cream. I'm sure they're thinking about it. I'm sure. Owen, good to see you. Vegan ice cream does sound like it requires space level technology. True. So, Alex, you sent me some stuff. Is there any particular place you want to start, or should I just click on a photo?
You can click wherever. I feel like I didn't take a lot of amazing food photos over the past few months, but
fine.
I cooked. But these are things that I ate or bought or like stuffed in my face. So we can
wonderful. That's totally fine. Here, we'll start with a really colorful one. What's this one?
So this winter, a friend of mine who lives a few blocks away and I have done a few like, tropical or like warm weather produce buys and like split the stuff because it's a lot or it's expensive.
Oh my gosh.
And I follow this company, Miami Fruit, on Instagram, and all their videos are just like these gigantic, amazing, ripe tropical fruits that you can't, like, they're really hard to ship or you can't really get them at stores. And they just look so amazing. I'm just like, I want to try them all.
Wow.
And in dead of winter, we were like, let's get this. This is their large box.
What a treat. And this is oh, wow.
It's not cheap.
Okay. So let me see if I can identify some of them.
Try. I think I remember what everything is.
So we've got some of the cactus fruit. I think it's called a pitaya.
Yeah, those actually never ripened. So I feel like they've maybe been ripe before they came off the tree. That was like the one thing where I was like, I don't know what I did wrong with this, but yeah.
No, you've also got like, is that a horned melon?
It's yellow. It's actually, that one's yellow dragon fruit.
What? That exists?
It's just yellow now.
Cool. Oh my gosh. I see that there's a cacao.
That was cool. That was kind of like I was like, I gotta get me one of those. I've never had a fresh cacao pod.
It is delicious, but unfortunate how very little fruit is on there.
I tried to ferment some of I like sucked all the like goodness off of the seeds and I tried to ferment them because you could technically make your own.
You could try to make your own chocolate, but it would be so little.
Yeah, you need to leave the sugar on there for them to ferment probably. Like you need
got it. But it's delicious. I really like the fruit. It smells so good. And you wouldn't think that chocolate came from that.
It's like super sweet and juicy and like.
Yeah, chocolate fruit is so not chocolate. Yeah. And I had a really good time because I like went to a chocolate demo and they had one of these before and they cut it like in half vertically. And so I was like, hello, hello. Pretending it was a phone. But okay, let's see. You've got several. So is that a plantain, the bigger one?
So those are two kinds of bananas. I don't know what kind they are, but they're both very delicious.
The short ones I'm kind of familiar with. We have those in the Philippines. But everything else, like, is that just giant avocado?
It's one of those big ones. Like you can get those in stores here. I don't remember. It's not Haas. That's like the usual one that you get.
Yeah.
But it's
These are like Mexico-ish.
Yeah. There's 2 little baby passion fruits, 3 little baby passion fruits, 1 finger lime.
one finger lime.
One of them, I literally like we ripened them in phases because they don't all ripen at the same time. So I would like cut a thing in half and be like, here's your half of a pink guava, and we would both eat our half of a pink guava.
It's so cute.
Up in the left-hand corner, that's a pink guava, and that was super good. I never had one of those.
Wow, it's so big.
Mame and sapadilla, I think, are the things up top.
Okay, I've never had those. I've only had mame in like a frozen puree. Mm-hmm. I've never seen the fruit. Is it the red one or the one next to it?
I forget.
We'll have to Google it later.
And the apples are pink pearl apples. So and the inside is pink, and they are very delicious.
Oh, wow. Like a watermelon radish.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This was like the highlight of my like week and a half waiting for all these things to ripen gradually. And
I love that you like laid out the tissue and knolled it.
Oh yeah. I was like, I'm styling my gorgeous box for Instagram. That's like half the reason I bought this.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful. My goodness. What a haul. Like what a good treat.
Yeah.
What is the yellow bulby dude at the bottom?
That is, am I remembering?
Stone fruit of some
egg
sort?
Fruit, I think.
A what?
It's either egg fruit or
Did you say egg fruit?
No, literally. Okay, so there are 2 fruits on, if you look on their website, because it didn't come with like a key. I had to kind of figure that out, but they do have a lot of information on their website. And there were 2 different fruits that it looked like, and one was egg fruit and one was something else. And I think it was egg fruit, and now, but like the inside is like bright yellow, almost like a boiled egg yolk.
Oh my gosh, cool.
I think it might have been something else, but it was a couple months ago. I don't remember now.
Maybe I'll try to convince some friends to go in on a box too, because this looks like a fun day.
If you subscribe to get a box every like 1 to 4 weeks, you can then it's 30% cheaper. So like if you're want to go in on fruit with a bunch of people, then that way it's a lot more reasonable because the shipping adds a bunch of money.
Yeah. Oh, this is good advice, though. Thank you for sharing this wonderful thing. My goodness. Now I'm like so ready for tropical fruit. Oh, what's happening here?
All right. So this is a blue corn tamale. I forget what the filling is. I think it was like some kind of tamale rojo. And I'm also going to forget what the flat guy is called. I'm like totally blanking. Has white beans inside. Salsa and crema. These are from Proyecto Tamal, which is actually concluded, but really amazing chef named Ana Caballero. I actually did her story about this for Zagat Stories last year. And she was working at this bakery that had a cafe, and then COVID happened and she got laid off. And she is like Honduran American. Mm-hmm. And she has worked in fine dining. She kind of has this multicultural path. Like she has more of a fine dining experience, but not the same as a lot of Latinos in the kitchens that she worked with.
Right.
And she often ended up being this bridge between the white American folks and the Latinx folks in the kitchen. And she was like, none of these people are getting unemployment. None of them are working. They're not doing okay. So she kind of subsidized this project with her unemployment money that she was able to get.
Oh my gosh.
Got a donated kitchen space, and some people helped donate to buy their masa. They're buying locally grown and made masa and then started grinding their own masa to make tamales. And every week a different chef would sort of their tamale recipes, and they would get all the money from it.
Fun.
And it really helped a lot of people. And it was amazing to get these super awesome tamales, some just more sort of your reds and greens, mole, things like that, and other native or really interesting regional varieties from all over Central America. And I got those every couple of weeks. I would just get a batch, and they're just so nice. They're so fast to eat, and they were so good.
Yeah. What part of Philly was this in?
You can read all about the project and read all the stories of the people and see the tamales on there.
Oh, so cool. Yeah. What part of Philly was this in?
This was in, so she lives up in Kensington. And this took place in Kensington Fishtown. but folks like a lot of the Latinx people, especially ones from Mexico, live in South Philly, but there's also some like folks up in North Philly too. So that happened there. Everyone kind of like met there, but like a lot of those folks lived in South Philly.
I just asked because we have some Philly folks in the chat. So they were just really happy to see that. Awesome. It's very cool. Really, really cool. What's going on? Well, hello.
Okay. So another like winter survival thing. This was it was sunny but very cold day. Another really amazing woman in Philly food. The business is called Juana Tamale, but if you watched Hell's Kitchen back in the day, or if you are a Philly person who follows the food scene, or if you like weed, you might know Jenn Zavala, who was a longtime Philly chef. Then she started selling tamales out of this truck for many years. And when COVID happened and birria took off, she started selling her own. She had been doing food at this venue called Underground Arts in downtown Philly, and she kind of started doing these birria pickups like once a week. And like we literally waited outside for like 2 hours in like very cold weather to prepare. And I was just like, I don't care. I'm getting like all of the stuff. She had some tamales that day too. It was my first time having this style of taco, and they were like amazing. They were so good. And I just like lusted after them on Instagram for like months, and finally like got it together to go down there and with like some margaritas. And she's finally opening for like 2 days a week now, but she is a really, really cool person to follow. She does super, super legit stuff. She makes like, also amazing like cannabis infused products. You can check her out on Instagram, Juana Tamale, or Foxy Lady Chef is her.
Yes.
But those are her burrito tacos, and they're like, I was like, wow, this is like a milestone in my life getting to eat these. It was great.
I know, it's such a thing, and I got to try several versions across like California and New York. Like a few of us in the chat went together as like a field trip to go try this truck that just started parking here in Brooklyn, Birria Land. Birria Landia is what it's called. Nice. But they have a lovely non-cheese one with the consomme, and they do tostadas and molitas. It's just a wonderful, wonderful just dish all around. Catching up here in the chat. Yeah, Philly gang, what's up? BRB hopping on a train to Philly. We love tamales in the chat. Chris recognizes Underground Arts. Wonderful. Your partner knows about this person, you believe. Wonderful.
Get some tacos. They're so legit.
Get the tacos, y'all. I hadn't seen this name in so long. What's going on with the Edam?
Okay, so in Philly, again, talking about Philly, there's a really fun little cheese community in Philly. Like we have a lot of cheesemakers in Pennsylvania. It's a big dairy state. And Southeast Pennsylvania, where Philly is like a lot of the artisan cheesemakers in our state are kind of concentrated around here. And so I got my start in cheese working, like buying all local cheese. That's what I was doing. I guess I had just stopped doing that when I met you. And so that's been really amazing. But also in that cheese community are Madame Fromage, who's an iconic cheese blogger. She's been a cheese blogger for more than 10 years. She mostly just does Instagram now, but if you want to learn about cheese, get great ideas for cheese, get cheese board ideas, her videos are amazing. She's like the classiest dame ever. She's also a creative writing professor during the day.
Okay.
It's her passion. She writes a lot of cocktail books. She has cheese books. She has another one coming out next year. And Mike Gino, one of her friends, who's also kind of like one of these city folks like me, who also is really into our cheese community. And he is a painter of cheese. He is an oil painter.
What?
He paints cheese portraits. Mike Gino on Instagram or MikeGino.com. Look at his cheese portraits. You can buy the originals. They're like small, like, maybe.
Oh my
God, what? He sells prints. He sells calendars. He sold amazing cheese. He did like the what are they called? Laser cut ornaments, like really beautiful wood printed ornaments.
Yeah.
Painted. I got some for my tree. And he has been on a quest over the many years that he's been doing this. It's like his line of work now. It's amazing. To paint a cheese from all of the 50 states.
Got it. Okay.
And the last one or one of the last ones because some states have a ton of cheese being made there, and some have like not as much.
Zero.
And as far as you could tell, this was the only like commercially made cheese in Mississippi, which again,
That's hilarious.
Maybe someone will go there and start like a little tiny, micro dairy or something like that. But it's through there. It's like the Mississippi Agricultural Forestry Economic
Experiment Station, it says here at the bottom.
Yeah. So they do a lot of like ag stuff. They have a dairy. They make this cheese and a couple other kinds. And it's just
gosh.
It's more like a cheddar though. It's not really like an Edam. Like it's more like a sort of almost like a hoop cheesy cheddar. It's really tasty. This was like, I want to say it was like $20 something for this 3-pound ball. I was like, I'm just buying it. That's like a great price. I always have like some nice affordable cheddar in my fridge. But I was like, I need a cheese orb. Click. As soon as I saw my
cheese orb of cheese.
So then like a couple weeks later, it actually shows up and I'm like, oh, right, I have this cheese orb. And I might even still have a piece of it in my fridge. This is like back in February.
Hilarious. Orb of cheesing for my D&D friends out there.
Yeah, it's red wax. So I don't think it's like they got these Edam molds like maybe 100 years ago. They like got those round orb shaped molds that are with Edam cheese. And they have been making this cheese ever since, and they make little ones like smaller. Like
like little baby bells.
If you want to just like try again, like the only cheese from Mississippi, very affordable, like unique. I made a great some great mac and cheese with it and some grilled cheese with it. It was awesome.
Pro table cheese, yes. This is a really funny detail. It's very popular in the Philippines during Christmas. Queso De Bola is what we call it. It is technically the Dutch Edam cheese, but we call it Queso De Bola. And I don't remember the full story. My friend Bettina wrote the article about it, but essentially these store really well. And it's just like a holiday treat. They just show up in every grocery store in the Philippines around Christmas time, and it's like part of the dinner table.
I read that article and I was so fascinated by that.
Yeah.
The global qualities of cheese are something I've been like doing some like origins and also like how it has traveled like with colonialism and stuff like that. And like how it goes because of those exact reasons that it's like super durable, super long lasting. And I was so fascinated by that. She really beautiful, like it was like a Filipino cheese board photo from a pop-up in New York.
Yeah.
That was the cheese on that board was like bola. And yeah, I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. That was amazing.
Yeah, we like to pair it with ham. Like, so the cured ham in the Philippines is it's closer to more Chinese, like sugar cured ham. So not like a spiral roasted ham, but just like a dense, like salty prosciutto situation, but thicker slices. With this on a squishy pan de leche or like a milk bread or a pan de sal, a salt bread.
Oh my God, that sounds
we
so
do
good.
little sliders. Like my life growing up with sliders of things. We got a comment in the chat here from Steph. Cannonball of cheese. Yes, I agree. Yes, we all know.
Like a shot put, you could like heft it across.
Oh yeah, you could shot put it. Yeah, what's up? So weaponize your cheese, why not? And then finally you got this little bite here.
This was just like one, cheese pairing is like not real.
Yes.
Like this, a funny thing that I've talked about with some other like monger types is like, what are the pairings? Like, what should I pair? Like, what is the right wine? And
what you want.
Yeah. The like, what's in your fridge when you want to eat some cheese with something else? Like, or, sure, there are all kinds of guidelines and like traditionally recommended things. And like your monger will help you find them, their merchandise next to the cheese case, all kinds of things like that. But I work for Cheese Grotto. I do their weekly blog content. So that's another great place to look for just like cheese pairing guides. We still write them. Pairing guides, cheese board guides. They do cheese board classes. And I started working with them right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I was like, you got to do virtual tastings. She's like, yeah, I'll launch that program. And it's been like huge for them, which is great.
Fun.
I like fill in here and there. And a lot of times they're for like these corporate clients. And, like, they're not always people who are like, I'm so curious about cheese. Like there's usually a couple people who are really into it, or maybe they're like a beer guy.
Yeah. They're just happy to be there and be eating and drinking.
Totally. So it's a really mixed bag of like where people are coming from, but you know, we get this box of cheeses, we taste through them. I give them a kind of a little cheese lesson, like how cheese is made, show them a cheese cave, things like that. And then we taste through, and I teach them, you know, the formal way to like taste and smell and look,
yes, taste and
all that stuff. And this cheese is called the Stag. It's from Deer Creek Cheese in Wisconsin. This is 17-month aged cheddar.
Woo!
I actually had a surprising moment. Like, you know, tasting notes are bullshit, whatever, but you know, and sometimes those really subtle or like out there tasting notes, like I don't pick up on them. And then someone says it and you're like, oh yeah, I can see that, but you don't.
It's all suggestion.
I opened my piece of the Stag, we did our little tasting, and I was like, I am getting lemon heads from this cheese. It was
really
American cheddar is very sweet,
yes,
but it's also very what we call sharp is actually acidity, so it's like that sour, tangy quality, and it had a weird, this like citrusy vibe, and I was just like, wow, that's really crazy. Like usually it doesn't take me by surprise that way.
Oh,
and
fun.
After that, I put away all my stuff, and I was like, well, I have like my cheese grotto out with my cheese boards, and I had just made Meyer lemon marmalade with another batch of tropical fruit that I had bought and shared with.
Yum.
And I was like, you know what? I gotta try this. And so I just sat there and just like ate my Meyer lemon marmalade and my super aged, like really nice bitey cheddar. And that's like my new favorite pairing is like really nice aged cheddar and this Meyer lemon marmalade stash that I have. It's really good.
Now I can't wait to get my hands on some Meyer lemons. My goodness. I can already smell it. I can smell
I got
it.
them from Etsy.
Huh?
I got them from Etsy. You can buy like California tree fruit on Etsy.
Shut up. I didn't know that.
They were great.
Funny. I have only gotten dry goods from Etsy, but never fruit. Good advice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all these photos with me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and it's about time for us, the chat here. If you guys have any questions about cheese or dairy, no question is too dumb or too crazy. Like even theoretical space questions are things that we like as well. But if you have a question about cheese, please put it in the chat and we can try to answer them as soon as we can. But while we wait, I just had a question. So I told you I used to work at Murray's, and the way that we categorize cheese is how it's stored, most of all. Is that common across other places, or how is it categorized at the Grotto?
So when you mean how it's stored, like, what do you mean by that?
Like the fresh cheeses are all in one spot, the washed rinds are all in one spot.
Oh yeah. So like you group the families together.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that is how most people do it. The thing is that at least maybe in other countries that are more cheese intensive or have a more everyday vocabulary for talking about cheese, like I can't speak how they do it in France, for example, but but yeah, like either perishability or how they're treated. And I'm working on a cheesemonger training resource. It's like a big project for a client. And it's intro level, so like but it's kind of from nothing, and it's so like retailers can kind of put them through this course in addition to like whatever store specific training and on the job experiential training, because that's a huge part of being a cheesemonger.
Yes.
And it'll get them up to speed, and it's a pretty comprehensive resource. Like, we get into some stuff. So, but like one of the biggest things where it's one of those annoying little questions where you're like, it's not cut and dry. It's how do we categorize cheese? What are the cheese families? Like, and so there are all kinds of criteria. There's there's milk type, the milk treatment, pasteurized or raw. There's curd treatment, which is about like do you cut the curds? Do you stir them or heat them, which expels more moisture?
Mm-hmm. Do you press them? Yeah.
which actually brings out the sweetness of a cheese like Gouda and Edam. Those cheeses are washed curd, washes away lactose that would otherwise become lactic acid and aging and get tangy. How you press them or not. So like the biggest families are uncooked, cooked, pressed, unpressed. But they're kind of very, consumers don't understand that.
Yeah.
But get into those
really pay attention to the sausage making.
Right. You get into those like fresh, like we know how we use them, brine, we know how we use them, washed rind, blue, tomes are kind of their own thing, but like Alpine style, which again can be made anywhere, but these like 3 countries,
Alpine style, yeah.
They don't own those styles of cheese, but that's where they originated. So, Italian cheeses, pasta filata cheeses. So it's never cut and dry, but like every cheese shop, I feel like has their own ways of categorizing. And a lot of times the job of the monger, as maybe you experienced, is like drawing out what people like or what they've had before and kind of triangulating from that to help make recommendations. And then when we don't have a pandemic and people can like put things in their mouths in public places, then they taste it. And that is like the thing that like really makes it real for them and makes them like want to choose a cheese. So the categorization, I feel like, is more of an industry, like.
Yes, that's why I asked you.
Consumers are just like, I want something that's good. I like this thing. What can you show me? Also, let me try it. And then my eyes will pop out of my head and I'll be like, this is amazing. So, yeah.
Oh, catching up here in the chat. Steph, sorry to see you go, but thanks for hanging out for this time. Oh, and we've got an interruption here. Gwem has redeemed taste test. For those of you who don't know, you've been gathering points in the chat as you've been hanging out, and you can redeem them for things. And if you get 1,000 points, which is a lot, you can redeem taste test once a stream. And today's taste test will be salted plum shiso umeboshi. It's a Japanese pickled plum with a little bit of Japanese mint. These have been in my fridge for a long time, and they seem fine. I don't see any molds or anything, but they're very squishy and small. Let's see, that's good. You can see a little bit of shiso there that's been curing with it. I think it was red shiso, which is why this is so pinky pink. But thank you, Gwem, for hanging out and redeeming your 1,000 points. I'm going to eat this now and try to have a conversation. It's very sour. Oh my God. I wasn't ready for that. Okay, so. Oh my God, okay. There's a pit. Like the stone.
Reminds me of season 3 of Top Model.
Huh?
Umeboshi. This is what happens in season 3 of Top Model.
What?
Models has to eat umeboshi and like spits it out, and it's like.
No, don't spit out food. It was very intense though. It's very salty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my face is gonna be like this for a while. So what I meant to say is I wasn't really a monger like you. So for people defining that for the people in the chat, the monger is the person at the counter. And a lot of the advice that we give when it comes to trying new cheese is talk to the monger. They know so much. Maybe they can guide you in a specific, whoa. This is why we do this on this stream. My God, it's very sour. Hi, Owen. Hi, Shmaz. Hi, welcome. I just ate a shiso pickled plum, and it's just waking me up. My goodness. So cheesemonger, before pandemic, you could go into a great cheese shop and taste through cheeses to see if you liked something or not. And right now that's like not very ideal in pandemic situation, but that's kind of how we advised people to discover new cheeses. And it was my favorite thing too, because a lot of my favorite shops do that. And there's this legendary cheesemonger at Murray's. What's his name? Oh, it ends with a EO, but he's been there for like 20 years. And he gives you a big old slab. But you're only supposed to do tiny tasty. He gives big old slab. But so another job in the cheese shop is the affineur. Some places have enough space to do this. Not every place does. Some dairies hire their own if they have the facility to do it. But I used to call it being a cheese librarian. So I was in the back of house. I was the person in the cave making sure the cheese was being taken care of. It was at the right temperature. It was being flipped because you know how moisture works. We have gravity. And when you make cheese, we're trying to wick off that moisture. And so for balance and for distribution, we're flipping wheels. or patting them down to make that signature white mold on the outside of like brie, for example, or Humboldt fog if you've had that at a grocery store. But I really loved my job because it was encyclopedic. Like it was very I don't know, like memorizing a Pokédex of like Pokemon. Uh, but it played a very similar role to the cheesemonger. We still had to know all that stuff, but I just wasn't in the service front of house part of things. Like I still could make recommendations to restaurants, to caterers, and to this day, like I still kind of take that knowledge and use it for wedding catering. So it helps me understand what people like and what I can suggest that's kind of in their price range or something that they've never had before. So it's like there are a lot of different kinds of jobs at the cheese shop, and it's very rewarding to like learn all this stuff if you really want to. And it also has to do with like science and like microbiology. Yeah, we learned a lot about microbiology because there's a lot of, ambient mold and injections and bee linens, bacteria, all that stuff. But we have a lot of recommended reading for everybody if you want to delve into this world. For example, if I may plug you early, like
Sure.
you have a little book.
So I showed Jenn the book when we first logged on.
I didn't know it was this small.
I just put it as a pocket guide to cheese because that is like this fits
literally pocket size.
Pocket, and so I hold it next to my face so you can see how tiny it is. Yeah, it's like what? It's like 4x6. It's like the size of a postcard.
Mm-hmm.
This is my book. It's called Stuff Every Cheese Lover Should Know.
Yay!
It's a little cheese encyclopedia, and I'll just give you, I don't know, maybe the light is crappy, but here we go. It's super bite-sized. Like if you're like, I don't want to read a whole book, whatever. It's like
you'll get through it quickly.
A couple of pages is like a new little section. So it's like digestible chunks, just like a little cheese board that you're
you're grazing on it.
And it's a good, like, there are a lot of books about cheese. I feel like in the past like year or two, a bunch of them came out. Like my book, I will plug myself because I was very proud of this. Florence Fabricant wrote up like a tiny little blurb about my book and Anne Saxelby's book, who's like New York, about Saxelby cheese.
Yes, Anne Saxelby, the queen. Yes,
she's amazing. And so she had her own little book, like her new rules of cheese. And Florence Fabricant like wrote about them together and recommended them together.
Oh, yay!
Anne Saxelby and Alexandra Jones, like anyone knows who I am, which is hilarious. So I will say that they recommended it, and they're complimentary books. I have the other one too. It's great. So this is like my spin. I have a lot of focus on like local folks, regional folks, focusing on like where the cheese comes from, how it was made, wanting to think about like natural cheese making, which is kind of like, natural cheese making, kind of like natural wine, like not using as much intervention, going back to these more traditional ways, before pasteurization and things like that. And so this is kind of like my viewpoint of like cheese basics. And it goes through everything from like how cheese gets made. We have like a glossary. We have like a fun cheese history timeline.
Yeah.
Going all the way through like why do sometimes cheese wrapped in leaves? Like the best cheese in the world is a leaf wrapped cheese.
Yes, it is.
From Rogue River Blue.
Rogue River Blue, yeah.
I misspoke. And then like how to build a cheese board, like how to have a cheese tasting and stuff like that. And it's just really fun. And then there is more, like, I think the last page is further reading if you want to like dig into some of the
Oh, yes. I love homework. Give me the homework.
Yeah, you can get this. You can get it from my website, alexandrajones.net, and I will send you a signed copy. But
yes.
like buy them like literally everywhere that sells books, as far as I know. So if you see it out in the world, check it out. And this is actually from a really cool, Quark Books is a Philly publisher.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Turkey. But they do, in addition to this Stuff You Should Know series, which is like a little tiny encyclopedias about all these different topics. They have one about beer, one about wine, one about cannabis.
Oh, of course.
That a friend of mine wrote, actually. They do books like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and Beautiful.
Wait, that was them?
There's these things that get really viral and huge.
Oh, I know who they are. Oh, yeah.
those worst case scenario survival handbook, which like if you're an
That
old
was them?
fitter shopper from back in the day, you probably remember.
I remember that. The bright yellow book. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, yeah.
That's so funny. We've got some questions here for you from the chat.
Yeah.
From 7 Bean Salad. Cheese question. Are there certain types of cheeses that are generally more environmentally friendly?
Ooh, that is a super interesting question.
Excellent question.
And something that I am really interested in exploring more as I think more and more about my food consumption and climate change, sustainability, like, which is local is great because you're talking about food miles, right?
Right.
Grass-fed is better. And again, like I'm not gonna like dig into the science. I want to read more about it. I am not an expert yet, but grass-fed is better because you're talking about your animals are on grass. The farmer is, in addition to like managing those animals, they're often rotationally grazing, which means they move the animals from one patch of grass to another. And the animals are pooping while they're there. And that manure helps like replenish the grass. So you don't need to fertilize that. Mm-hmm. You're not inputs for, ag speak for fertilizer. And so it's like a closed system, like the sun, the rain, the manure, the cows eating the grass, turning it into milk. Also like grass-fed cheeses are very seasonal, so they can like taste different at different times of year, which is really
true. That's true. Mm-hmm.
So I would go for like close to you, like locally made, so they're not traveling as far if possible. I would go for from a pasture, what we call pasture-based or like grass-fed animals. And just a note on grass-fed, like no cow that is making good cheese milk is like super 100% grass-fed. Yeah. There is usually a little, what they call a TMR, it means total mixed ration. It's like a little bit of grains to kind of give them some extra like nutrients. So like that's its own topic, but if you hear that someone is getting like a little, their little bit of grains for the day, like that's okay. Like
that's
it's
fine.
Ruining your grass-fedness.
As long as we're not importing new material into the diet of the animals and like creating a new ecosystem from that, I think that's the biggest concern.
Yeah, and corn is a grass. Like there, you could get grass is good because it's and grass. Those grasslands, like pasture lands, are not great for growing row crops or vegetables. So like that can be integrated into a sustainable kind of food system that sequesters carbon too, because you're not tilling it up. So that is one of the benefits of animal agriculture. I would say if you're getting your commodity stuff, that is probably coming from like a feedlot dairy, maybe a dairy that's a little less sustainable, where maybe they're like doing some feed that has gotten fertilized, it's getting trucked a lot further. That's what I would say about cheese and sustainability. And like, it's a part of a conversation that's like not super in there, but I would say local, I would say grass-based. That doesn't mitigate like the cow farts and burps that are
the methane. Yeah.
Eat cheese. It's like the more and more, we talk about this and think about this, and actually like Alicia Kennedy, who's a great food writer, who's vegan and writes a lot about those topics. She, her newsletter, I've been working in the sustainable food space, like selling it, talking to people about it for a long time. And that's how I eat. But like, I always had this kind of, people are going to eat, like, I don't want to like police food choices.
Right.
Or make people feel guilty. And there's a lot of access issues and price issues and all these things. But, she has really pushed me to like kind of think more assertively about that and say like, if you have the money to like buy these nicer things or this grass-fed meat, or maybe eat less of those things, and if you're going to eat it, like eat the good stuff, like educate yourself, like do that. Like you should really you should feel obligated to do that. Try it out. Like
I agree.
So yeah, that's my recommendation. Also, don't forget sheep and goats. Like we have less of those in our country for a lot of reasons, but like sheep and goats are, I don't know about their carbon footprint. I imagine they have some in like
significantly less.
But yeah, it would be significantly less. They can be a bit pricier or sometimes a bit harder to find, but like pasture-based sheep and goat cheeses, like from your local or regional farm, that's where I would go for.
This is a great answer to that question. We're catching up in the chat. Shmas has umeboshi soaking in vodka right now. Made a couple of umeboshi sours, and it's like Gatorade, if Gatorade tasted good.
That sounds amazing.
I do love Gatorade. What are you talking about? That's really great. Also, follow-up question. Have you heard of the project where they're trying to engineer yeast to produce milk so they can make vegan cheese that is chemically the same as traditional cheese? I actually have not heard this.
So Alicia, again, just wrote a huge vegan cheese article, and I think she might have touched on that, like, but I didn't go in depth. I am personally very skeptical about lab grown animal proteins. I mean, like, at what point do they cease to be animal proteins? One of my own like beliefs or tendencies that I try to interrogate is like I'm like, oh, the farmers, they should have their way of life, which is kind of a fiction. Like, it's kind of marketing bullshit that like our society has sold us in some ways, and in other ways, these are people I know who like love their animals and who work super hard to take care of them and make sure they're like in the best health and like feeling as good as possible, because that's what makes great milk and that's what's important.
Happy cows, so, happy animals.
I say like to me, there's also a big part of the cheese story that I like to tell is that cheese originated in the Fertile Crescent. Like that's where we started domesticating
ancient cheese.
Yeah. And I have a history of cheese series for Cheese Grotto where I talk about this more, how cheese traveled through colonialism, things like that. But like it was a thing where we had, those humans at that time had kind of depleted the soils growing these row crops. They had a population explosion, and then they were like, oh crap, we have no food. And so domesticating animals was something they started doing. And they realized like no one could drink that milk. Adults couldn't drink it. You could put a kid on a kid, as it were, and feed milk to little kids or babies, but adults couldn't eat it because no one had lactase persistence.
No tolerance, zero tolerance.
But fermenting the dairy into cheese, yogurt, kefir, whatever, that like was a super important food source, and that traveled from the Fertile Crescent to India, to Western Asia, down into Africa, like in parts of Rwanda, like milk and like milk products are huge in the culture, and then obviously to Europe. Europe is now really dominant in that space, and that's what we think of, but it's so much more global, and now it's traveled all over the world. So like, I feel like there's something important about humans and like dairy animals, like those seasonal rhythms. Again, like this is all, I love farms. Like I admit it, I have some of those like feelings about them, but I don't want that to go away. I would like just have us find a way to integrate that into like a climate solution, because it almost feels like they're trying to skip over solving that problem. And I get why, because it's an urgent problem and people love throwing tech money at like these tech solutions and stuff so that they can sell it back to people. But it would be a lot nicer to have a bunch of grasslands that are being sustainably grazed, and then people are making that cheese and selling it in their communities. That's
ideal situation. Ideal situation. My goodness. LT, good to see you in the chat here. The topics today are cheese and dairy. We are answering questions from you all. I think we can take a few more before we head to the end of the show. Gwem has a question here. What is the best substitute for cheese curds in poutine? I have a couple of ideas here, but Alex, do you have off the top of your head?
I guess you could use... You want almost maybe like a halloumi or paneer. One of those
exactly the two cheeses I had in mind.
You really can't get anything like a fresh cheese curd. If you can buy them frozen, often they're fresher. I would say like don't use like cheddar though. That's just like
don't use cheddar.
And your cheese curds, part of the reason they squeak and part of the reason they kind of hold their shape is because of their acidity. There's a great company called Caputo Brothers Creamery.
Yes. I love Caputo Brothers. Yeah.
So they sell frozen mozzarella curd, Cagliata curd, they call it, or like I think they rebranded it as Capo Maz or something. But you can buy, they're in these little vacuum packs. It comes frozen. They ship it right to you on FedEx. They also, you can stretch it yourself. They have like a free video that comes with like, that like shows you how to do it at home. But that curd, you don't have to stretch it. You can use it, thaw it out, and you could use it like
on poutine.
Yeah, it would be a substitute too.
Yeah, I very immediately went to halloumi and paneer in my mind. Glad we aligned there. My goodness. Yeah, I've been using a lot of paneer lately in stir fries, in curries. It's just such a solid cheese, but then can get a little bit seared on the outside, just like halloumi, which is the Greek cheese that you can like pan griddle. So those are really fun. Shma says Gastropod. I actually don't listen to this podcast. They did an episode back in 2018 about the fake cheese stuff. It's called Who Faked My Cheese.
I
Interesting.
will look into that because this is something I want to be writing and maybe even podcasting about.
Yeah, you should. Hey, chat. How about you tell us your favorite cheeses? We'd love to hear it. I know it's like torture for you and I to try to narrow down our favorite cheeses, but maybe do you have one that had like a very unique tasting experience?
Let me think about that.
I can tell you mine, which was Gaparon, which
Okay,
is
tell me about it.
Yeah, Gaparon is a French cheese. It's like a little yellow snowball. It technically is a uh what's it called? It's technically bloomy, but will be stored in the natural tome cave because it has that yellow tome creuse like outside, but it's a little snowball, and the cows eat so many garlic shoots, just garlic, garlic, garlic. And so the milk is like got this light scalliony allium taste, and it's a little meaty. It's not produced very often. I mean, it depends on when the garlic's coming up, so spring. So it comes out late spring, early summer from France. But that's like a very unique cheese experience that I've had because it was in very short supply.
I would say, in terms of unique cheese experiences, this is a bad answer because I'm completely blanking on the name of this cheese, but maybe I can tweet it later.
Yeah.
I was at Rubiner's Cheesemongers in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, which is an amazing cheese shop. If you're near there, it's really awesome. And I was actually there on like a sort of retreat with my two cheese friends that I run this cheese CSA in Southeast PA.
I love that you had cheese retreat with cheese friends.
Let's go to Rubiner's, and we got a bunch of fondue, and it was actually the night that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. We had like a fondue dinner and like watched it on our laptop.
Wow.
Anyway, we were there, and I'm blanking on the cheese. I bet I could figure. I tried to just Google it really fast. I couldn't find it, but it's a bloomy cheese. It might be a thistle rennet cheese. It's Portuguese.
Oh,
Tastes like strawberries.
Tastes like strawberries.
That's like its thing, and I'm super blanking on its name. If I remember it, I'll say it. But
don't think I've had that one. Does it have a J in the end somewhere, or an I? EI something?
I think about that cheese frequently because it was so unique and hard to find, and now it's not here. But it has like a very interesting fresh strawberry note.
Wow!
First time trying that. I also like in the cheese world, you're supposed to love like stinky, funky cheeses. Like that's like what real cheese professionals are into. My like secret love is like the ones that all the consumers want, which are super aged Goudas, super caramelly, crystal,
midnight moon.
Your super aged Goudas, your super aged cheddars, your super aged Alpines, your I just like the ones that you can just like some Black Betty, you can sit there and like eat it like candy almost. I like the ones that go down easy. I also keep a lot of what we think of as like utility cheeses. There's always Cabot cheddar, extra cheddar in my fridge. It's like my cheddar cheese.
I still buy that stuff. I still buy it.
Amazing. And it's affordable and it's really good. And it is a good, that's a good place to buy from. Feta. I love feta. I love cream cheese. I love fromage blanc or, whatever beautiful lush spreadable cheeses you've got. I love halloumi. Again, they're not the most complicated cheeses, but like they're some of the most satisfying to me.
Yeah. Oh, we've got a long list of cheeses that everybody likes here. LT, I did not plan this. I did not know that the cheese episode of Grocery Games was going to air again. I was on an episode and I did not plan this. I talked to Alex about her schedule, and this is the day that worked.
Nice.
It's funny. Gwem says, my favorite cheese is clearly Stilton. He's over in the UK. Seven Bean Salad loves Alpine cheeses. Hell yeah, they are good indeed. Robert here with a deep cut Green Hill cheese from Sweetgrass Dairy in Thomasville, Georgia. I got a
I've
link
heard of them.
here.
I've not tried that one.
I've had the dairy, but not that specific cheese. I will have to go after it now. Schmass had a raclette in Switzerland, and when you have it just right, it's all roasty and bubbly. It's just unreal. It's a great experience. Yes, I agree. Oh, yes, saganaki, one of my favorites to get at the Greek restaurant where they light it on fire.
I have not had that before. When it opens again, I have to go.
Sorry?
I have to try that. That's like
that's
an indoor dining thing that I miss, like one of those service things.
Yeah, it's a Greek cheese, kind of, I would say saltier than halloumi, where they pour like, what is it, ouzo, like the alcohol?
Oh yeah.
On it, and then they light it, and they go, oppa, and then they squeeze a lemon to put it out.
Ooh.
And then you can have it. It's like really burnt cast iron on the bottom. So like that crispiness, and then still
it stays its shape, or does it melt?
Stays in its shape. It's very close to halloumi, or it might be halloumi, but saganaki. It's a very fun theatrical dish. All the hot cheeses. I agree. I do love a hot cheese. The raclette restaurant in East Village is Nom. Can't compare it to Switzerland though. True. You once crashed a happy hour at Facebook's New York office, and they dedicated a raclette station. These rich people. Yes, feta cheeses, all calzone cheeses. That's very funny. Mm-hmm. Chris will always be a sucker for any and all goat cheese. Yes, I love a goat cheese. And then Robert's, my mom's go-to appetizer when they have guests is a little Gouda wheel topped with a smear of mustard, wrapped in Pillsbury crescent roll dough, baked for 15 minutes. The Gouda gets melty, but it stays trapped in the dough. Yum. We love a baked cheese.
I would like some.
Thank you everybody for sharing your favorite cheeses with us. Please feel free to keep tweeting me your favorite cheeses, because I think we got to move on to our last segment of the show. Let me read this for you, everyone. Let's pretend we're on Chopped. If you don't know this TV show, there is a basket with 4 mystery ingredients in it, and chefs have to use them to make a dish. In our case, you, the chat, will tell us what's in the basket. So chat, fast fingers, please shout an ingredient for us to put in the basket. The first 4 will be the ones that we use. So as you're going through this, there are no wrong answers. The purpose of this exercise is to think about how far ingredients can go and maybe inspire your next meal. So I'll go through each of the ingredients individually so that we all know what we're working with, but feel free to just start shouting out how you'd combine 2, 3, or all 4 of the ingredients. Imagine we have basic Food Network pantry, all the tools and time you need, but just remember, feature things in the basket. Let's go. What did you say? Artichoke Hearts, a can of Cheese Whiz, damn, Quark, and Cherries. Oh, that's a funny basket.
We definitely do some kind of like amazing dip with the artichokes and the Quark, and maybe you could even like squirt in a little Cheese Whiz for salt, mixing it up. Maybe cherries just on the side.
Yeah, cherries on the side. We could just do a cute little board, we could do brined artichoke hearts, some slices of Quark with some bread, and then pickle the cherries with some cinnamon and rosemary. That sounds lovely. There's just a lot. The Cheese Whiz. This is very funny. So I'll just go through these just very quickly. So the Cheese Whiz is a commercial product, for those of you who don't know what that is. It comes in a jar. It's not like Velveeta. So Velveeta is the block that melts really well. But the secret to both of those products is that they are actually made from a lot of whey byproduct. So when you make cheese in the commercial world, you are separating curds and whey, and the whey, there's just a lot of it left over. And so that gets turned into protein powder. It gets turned into Cheese Whiz and Velveeta, that kind of stuff. So it's very flowy. When you microwave it too long, it can become very hard. It can be, it doesn't work well as a solid is what I'm saying. So it tends to want to be warm. If you're going to do a cold preparation, just think about that it's going to be a little more gluey, which can be a good thing in some situations, just depends on what you're doing. artichoke hearts. That's the very, very center tender of the artichoke. A lot of places will serve the whole head where you peel off all the leaves and use your teeth to like scrape off the little bottom part. The artichoke is the very soft middle. A lot of the time they're in the store as something that's fully cooked or pickled or brined or served in a can in salt water. The beautiful thing is that they can roast really well, they can deep fry very well, and they can blend really well. One of my favorite condiments is artichoke and garlic cream, where you just pulverize that in a blender with some olive oil and roasted garlic. And that's just a very, very simple spread that you can make. Quark, I don't remember exactly about Quark. I know it's a European cheese, but is it on the fresher side? Do you remember, Alex?
It's like a spreadable, smooth, almost like you would eat it in a bowl with fruit is what they do in
Got it.
Europe a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so the Quark and cherries is a very natural pairing, I think, here. But yeah, so Quark is more on the fresher side. We can use it in cold preparation. I don't know if I've ever seen anything baked with it.
You would eat cakes that like where it's incorporated,
right, as like a binder or something, and not necessarily as a Danish topping because it would just melt all over the place, right?
Yeah, maybe you could turn it into like a cream cheese frosting kind of thing.
Ooh, Quark cream cheese frosting. That sounds lovely. Okay, and then finally, cherries. I feel like a lot of people in the chat have had cherries, but just as a reminder, they're a fruit. They're tiny. They've got little pits. They can be fresh. They can be frozen. They can be made into any kind of ice cream, frozen dessert. They can be pickled. They can be made into drinks, simple syrups. They can be dried. Dried cherries and dark chocolate is probably some of my favorite combinations, especially with blue cheeses. So those are the 4 ingredients. If you've got ideas, please just start shouting out in the chat. You don't have to use all 4. You know, you can just use 2. So again, we have Cheese Whiz, Artichoke Hearts, Quark, and Cherries. So, okay, let's see. We got some cheese gains. Great. Gwem says, with Quark, you can make the baked cheesecake. Yeah, got a jinx here with Owen. You can make a cheesecake. Schmas here, I feel like you could make a little like a marinated cherry, chive, and Cheese Whiz wonton with a crispy chip cracker sort of vessel for a Quark artichoke dip. Like, did you see that face Alex just made?
I would try it.
I would try that.
I would make it if I saw it in like a cookbook, but I would try it if someone else.
I would try that, absolutely. Quark artichoke dip sounds lovely. It would be weird, but I don't care. That's what this show is about. This show is about like trying things. It's not about like what we're supposed to do. Yeah, I think you would make it to the next round if you were on the show. No, it's a great idea. What else am I thinking here? I'm thinking, what if we made, I don't know. So some of the framework that I like try to use in these exercises is take familiar things you already know how to make and then kind of swap in things. So if you had a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, a dessert, or a snack, or tapas, or ramen, you know, like think of a vehicle and then try to start switching things in. My goodness. But I told you earlier, the artichoke heart cream, it's very, very easy. We could probably do like cut it with a little bit of the Quark so that it's not so garlicky, or even do like the Cheese Whiz like artichoke puree, but like with nacho style, like, or like queso fundido style. That'd be fun. A little, you know, stick to your ribs kind of a thing, but LT says, make a cherry jam, stuff it all in between bread and put in that panini press. Yeah.
I was thinking like, yeah, can you just make it a sandwich?
Of course. Sandwiches are always welcome answers like here in this chat.
With like a little swirl of Cheese Whiz on top.
Ooh, yeah. What if we did a Quark and cherry pound cake?
That would be amazing.
Lovely.
That sounds awesome.
Lovely. I have that on the brain because that's what I'm developing right now. I'm developing some pound cakes. The Cheese Whiz, though, I really want to do something with this Cheese Whiz.
Could you turn the Cheese Whiz into like a cracker? Like blend it with flour and stuff and make a Cheese Whiz flavored cracker and kind of
You
have
probably could. We would it's just the, proportional amount of flour is a lot. It would be a lot because the structural integrity of the Cheese Whiz is just so floppy because it's just mostly whey. It doesn't have that protein or casein from real cheese, It's cheese product. It's not cheese. Kind of like how Taco Bell has beef product tacos and not beef tacos. This is kind of that same distinction. No, we're not going to throw it in the trash, Chris. No, this is why this show is so funny. It's because it's a challenge. It's a mental challenge here. Is Quark the same as cottage? I don't believe so.
It's smooth.
It's smooth, yeah. It's a whipped situation. Could we make a pastry dough and sub some butter for Cheese Whiz? I don't know if the Cheese Whiz has enough fat for that.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible to do a Cheese Whiz compound butter and then do pastry with it. You wouldn't really get the taste as much, but structurally you need that fat, you need that butter fat.
If you could figure out a way to make some kind of dough, you could like stuff it with, any of those things.
We could do gnocchi. We could do Cheese Whiz gnocchi. So we got mashed potato, or actually we could probably do the artichoke heart if we squeezed it out a little bit. It's just a little wet. So you do some artichoke mixed with some mashed potato, stir in that Cheese Whiz, roll it out, add some flour, make a gnocchi dough, and then boil that. Do a little swipe, a fancy fine dining swipe of the Quark. And then do some fried artichoke for on top.
I want to eat that now. That sounds great.
Now I want to try it. I don't think I've ever bought a jar of Cheese Whiz in like 10 years.
My aunt eats it on toast.
Oh, wow.
She keeps it with her like butter.
It's so salty.
Wow. I don't. When I visit her, I'm always like, oh, right.
That's so funny. Owen says, could you maybe roast the artichoke with Cheese Whiz and then have a sweet yogurty dip with the cherry and Quark? We could. I think we could. What if it had like a crusty Cheese Whiz outside?
That sounds
somehow. Good. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, the Cheese Whiz gnocchi is getting some love. I don't know. You just need to think about ways that you can mix things in without people knowing. It's very funny. Last call for ideas, friends, as we round out the end of the show. This has been really fun. So thank you, everybody, for your ideas and your insight. Oh, here we got a latecomer here. Could you make like a port cheese spread with the Cheese Whiz and cherries too?
Intriguing.
You very much could. I think. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with fortifying or mixing in other things from the pantry to elevate the ingredient that's very hard to work with. Y'all always throw a curveball every time we do this. But it's good because it's so fun. It makes us think, right? But yes, okay. So if anyone has any ideas, I know like trying to think in the moment is not everybody's strength. So if you have any other further ideas or cheese questions, feel free to tweet me at Randwiches. And then Alex, how can people find you online?
I am A-Rock Jonestown on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me there. I'm also at alexandrajones.net, ALEXANDRA Jones.net. You can buy my book there. I have some old clips that I really need to update there. You can see some food photos that I've taken when I used to do a lot more food photography and recipe stuff years ago.
Yeah, and you've got articles you've written too that are really helpful.
I write for I do houseplant write-ups for my domain. I do some like ingredient profiles for the Spruce Eats. I do articles for The Counter. I'm working on one now.
Yay!
I link all that stuff when it comes out on my Twitter, so you can follow me there.
Yeah, wonderful. So thank you, Alex, for being here. LT, we will have a wine and cheese crossover. I think we'll do like a Super Bowl special or something like that. We get all my wine and cheese experts in on the chat. That'd be really fun, right? But thank you, Alex, for being here. Friends, don't forget there are tons of links below this video so that you can follow along and hang out with me and ask more questions if you need it. Don't forget that you can submit photos to me to be featured next week. And then next week, I got to look at my calendar here. Oh, this is very exciting. On April 14th at 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Samantha Pagan here in the chat. She's going to speak about food systems and her experience at the Natural Gourmet, which was a vegetarian culinary school that merged with the International Culinary Center recently. But it should be really fun. If you have questions about food systems and healthy eating, we were going to be talking about that next week. Oh, thank you for the belated birthday wishes. I celebrate birth month, so it's never too late in April. Alex, you can stick around here on in the video, but goodbye, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week on Attack the Pantry. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.